I was glued to the telly, and I was actually out watching the semis as well. So I sort of had the fantastic lead. I was there for the semis, and it was absolutely brilliant to see. I must say, it was world-class tennis, and well done, Murray. I mean, he so deserves it, and it was absolutely brilliant and amazing to see. And I think this is going to be fantastic, not only for Murray. I don't think he knows quite yet what has hit him, because there's going to be so much aftermath. But also importantly, this is fantastic for British tennis. This is very, very inspirational for all the young kids out there. So the tennis clubs will see a lot of inflows and requests.
Last year, when he lost, he told the BBC that he had a dream that night that he won, and he woke up and he felt the disappointment all over again. I just wonder what he dreamt last night.
I don't think he slept last night.
But when you look at the bigger picture, isn't it finally time, and I suppose, Sally, you can answer this as well, for the British to acknowledge that they are actually pretty good in sports? Because you think about the British Lions, you think about the Olympics, you think about Andy Murray, and
Tour de France.
Tour de France. All that's left is a certain football tournament next year.
1966, we all know that date.
But this is really a triumph of perseverance, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's just great to see. But for Andy in particular, I mean, he's really been on a fantastic winning streak here. So no, it's good to see that. Usually the British tend to excuse themselves, but now it's number one across.
I have to say,
it's fantastic.
In our household, watching the Wimbledon finals was a religious thing every single year since I can remember. And for my dad, I was texting him yesterday because my dad is 73. So even he hasn't seen a British winner, a male winner, should I say. And now we're all experiencing it in the UK, and it's such a great feeling.
It's fantastic. Feeling. I think the country is very different today.
And for those who just want to know, one of the papers, The Times, actually takes a look back at what it was like the last time this happened. And Hitler was on the rise, and among other things, there was no BBC, and a loaf of bread cost 4p.
Now, just to say before we move on, do you think he should become Sir Andy Murray? Everybody's saying that today.
I think so. I think he deserves it. I mean, he's this past 12 months have been absolutely fantastic for him. US Open, Olympics, and now Wimbledon.
And the second question, I did wonder if it might bring on Kate Slaber yesterday if she was watching. I did wonder at the time, that would be a double whammy, wouldn't it? We have a winner and we have a royal baby. Should the baby be called Andy Per?
Oh,
that's what many are asking on social media.
Let the parents decide this one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the question on social media. I'm just putting it to you.
That's fine. No, I think I'll leave that to William and Kate to decide.
All right, let's move on.
The South China Morning Post, and obviously our top story today, the plane crash in San Francisco, the Boeing 777 actually has an excellent record. And of course, you're a pilot yourself. You understand some of these issues. And as we piece together the details, I suppose what is going to be fascinating is how they managed to eventually find out if, whether it was pilot error or mechanical, or now there's even talk about the nature of the landing strip in San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean, it's very surprising that this suddenly has happened, and it seems like the plane came in at lower speed than expected. Normally it's supposed to land at 254 kilometers an hour on that particular runway, and for some reason speed was lower, and it seems like that's maybe why the tail hit the beginning of the runway. The pilot was a veteran pilot, so there's no question he was good. The plane has got an excellent history. I think there's only been one incident before with a refueling situation in Denver, where one person died, but apart from that, it's got an excellent track record. So who knows? Flying planes are still a very, very safe thing to do in this scheme of life. So, but we'll see what the investigation brings up. But obviously very tragic.
Now, Gulf News Business section looks at the US-EU trade talks starting officially today in Washington, and I'm looking at this, and I will be covering every single twist and turn, I'm sure, on World Business Report. What do you reckon? I mean, this particular article highlights the fact that the spying furore that surrounds Edward Snowden could cause a bit of an obstacle. Do you think there's enough emphasis on both sides to get through this, that they will get to a deal in the end?
I think it'll get to a deal in the end, but this is a real issue. If you're negotiating with somebody and you know that they're checking out, what goes on behind the scenes, it's serious. So I don't think it's just sort of public headlines, from the European side. It seems like the spying has been going on at a pretty sizable scale. If it was just one incident, we can maybe forget about it easily, but it's pretty sizable. So from the European point of view, there's a lot of confidence that needs to be rebuilt. And in any negotiation, trust and confidence and all these soft issues are really, really important when you're negotiating such a big and very complex new treaty.
It wouldn't even make it more difficult for technology companies, because this is very much about the relationship between technology companies across the Atlantic and the kind of access to information that perhaps U.S. government intelligence agencies have through these technology companies. And if the underlying principle is transparency, this really could be a problem.
Oh, it would be a massive problem, absolutely, because the argument here is that the US government has superior access through their technology companies to information across the world, not just in the US. It's information that relates to you and me. So it's a very big issue, and they need to get across that and really build confidence before the negotiations can really kick off.
Now, per City AM focuses on the sale of the stakes in the banks that were bailed out by the UK government, Lloyds Banking Group, for example, Royal Bank of Scotland. It looks at the fact that small investors, private investors, could be squeezed out by the big corporate vultures, some would argue, who want to snap up these shares. What do you think?
Well, the good news is that now the shares of Lloyds have actually improved a lot. So the break-even point is about 61p, and we're now above that. So that means the taxpayers are actually finally getting their money back. So that's the good news. The bad news is that normally when you do these types of transactions, it's not uncommon that you contact the institutional big shareholders first, the existing ones, and then some new ones, in order to get a lot of stock placed. It's very common practice. The bad news is that the retail investors are last in line, and it could be by the time you reach them, they won't have an opportunity to invest, which would be a shame.
It would be a big shame.
And let's quickly look at the things that frustrate us about modern life. I don't know if you had a chance to look at the list. There is a very long list. Don't you just hate it, as the Times puts it. They list spam email, pressure selling, foreign call centers being put on hold. Well, what really gets you upset?
Oh, there's a lot of. I mean, spam emails, I think, is got to be a top of the list. But also things like if there's a car that's double parked across two parking bays, that is also very annoying. But being put on hold and waiting in a telephone queue is absolutely
Drives you
annoying.
nuts.